When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall.
Immigrants.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
So far, every one of my assumptions about you has been correct. But listen to me. I am an immigrant. I'm speaking from personal experience.
Get the hell out.
I don't even like...
One of the most controversial topics in the United States today. Behind the headlines, millions of immigrants have faced a harsh reality, struggling against fear, discrimination, and stereotypes that question their worth and belonging. But this isn't new. From the Irish in the 1800s to Asian and Latin American arrivals in the 20th century, they were called job stealers, criminals, and even a threat to the American way of life. The Irish were specifically even labeled as drunks and criminals. In the late 19th century, Chinese immigrants were also banned under exclusion laws. Yet, they came seeking freedom, safety, and a chance at the American dream. Generation after generation, newcomers have faced suspicion, not for what they've done, but for who they are. Today, those same stereotypes still continue on, dividing neighborhoods, fuel discrimination, and shaping how they live, work, and are seen in their own communities. But the real question is, are these fears rooted in the truth, or they are shaped by perception?
There are many stereotypes that immigrants face in the United States. The biggest one right now, especially with immigrants coming from Central and South America, is that they are bringing crime to the United States. It's often always been that they're stealing jobs or that they're lazy and then they shouldn't be here.
If we're going with, say, the popular attitude towards immigration, I think, again, it varies a lot, but some stereotypes would include people being criminals or leeching off of government programs, for example, welfare or something like that. Though I wouldn't think that most of these are all that accurate. For example, immigrants in the US do tend to commit less crimes than citizens do.
The first claim is that immigrants are criminals. User Walter Masterson requoted what Charlie Kirk once said about black people. Happening all the time in urban America, prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. It's happening more and more. Survey also shows that immigration and crime were two of the top 3 issues for Trump voters in the 2024 election. Donald Trump once said, "Immigrants commit horrendous crimes because it's in their genes, and we have a lot of bad genes in our country right now." Not to mention, during his Monday appearance on the Huge Haywood Show, the former president made an unsubstantiated claim that 13,000 convicted murderers have entered the United States illegally. According to The Economist, Donald Trump was running for president on the promise to launch the largest deportations of criminals in American history. 8 months into his presidency, immigration arrests have indeed surged. So much so that the administration is scrambling to build new detention centers to hold the newly nabbed. Now, let's see the real statistic. Study shows that immigrants are actually less likely to commit crimes than native-born citizens, and here's why. The American Immigration Council compared crime data to demographic data from 1980 to 2022, the most recent data available. In 1980, immigrants made up 6.2% of the US population, and the total crime rate was 5,900 crimes per 100,000 people. However, by 2022, the share of immigrants had more than doubled to 13.9%, while the total crime rate actually dropped by 60.4% to 2,335 crimes per people. According to NCVS record, from 2017 to 2023, immigrants were 44% less likely than US-born Americans to be victimized by violent criminals and were 64% less likely to be harmed by someone they knew. Immigrants also work with police to solve violent crimes, and immigrant victims were 29% more likely than US-born victims to personally report violent crime to the police. Also, in the migration policy, they also emphasize that immigrants in the US commit crimes at lower rates than US-born population, notwithstanding the assertion by critics that immigration is linked to higher rates of criminal activity. Also, the Texas Department of Public Safety also shows lower conviction rates for immigrants in every major crime category. Because of the crime rates and because of these narratives, the Americans and native-born citizens believe that immigrations are negatively affecting their own identity. However, you'll be very surprised when we said that far from eroding identity, immigration has enriched it. American culture has always been defined by those who arrived and blended their stories into the nation's fabric. According to CBS News and poll surveys, Republicans overwhelmingly viewed immigrants who arrived in the past decades as having retained their own cultures and values rather than adopting American ones. In contrast, the poll also found that Democrats were nearly 3 times as likely as Republicans to say that the US should be a country which is made up of many cultures and values that change as new people arrive, with far more, while Republicans said that there should be essential American cultures that immigrants must adopt. It's such a stark divergence, said Lionel Jones, a 65-year-old accountant in Boulder, Colorado. Like many Democrats, Jones pointed to diversity and openness to refugees and other immigrants as central components of being American. Our sense of identity is almost inseparable from the subject of immigration. From the very beginning, the US has been built on waves of people bringing their own traditions, languages, and dreams, blending them into something entirely new. The food Americans love, such as pizza, tacos, bagels, and burgers, are all gifts from immigrants' communities. Music genres like jazz, hip-hop, and rock grew from culture fusions of African, Latin, and European influences. Beyond culture, immigrants have fueled innovations and progress. Over 40% of Fortune 500 companies were founded by immigrants or their children, including Google, Tesla, and even Apple. Their stories embodied resilience and reinvention, pushing America to live up to its ideal of freedom and opportunity. Now that we have heard about the statistics and the analysis, let's see what the American citizen's perspective is.
Is the stereotype that immigrants bring crime and threaten the community safety as well as undermine American identity based on reality or perception?
I believe it's more perception.
I don't think that's based on the reality.
I think it has more to do with perception and stereotypes.
From what I have heard, that the perception that immigrants cause a lot of crime and negative effects tend to be overblown and exaggerated.
When things are hard for people, I think people look for a scapegoat, somebody to blame other than themselves.
I mean, we've seen this throughout all of American history, hundreds and hundreds of years. Whichever group is immigrating to America in large numbers, be it the Germans, the Irish, Italians, almost always there's the same stereotypes, the same fears. These people are going to destroy American culture and society. And really what just happens is these people assimilate and they just become as American as anybody else.
Looking at the evidence, one thing is clear. Immigrants are not the root cause of crime, nor do they erase identity. What we see is the gap between perception, driven by fear and politics, and reality, revealed through data and lived experience. History tells us that controversies around immigration aren't new, and they won't end soon. But what's essential is recognizing that immigrants are not the villains in America's story. Misconceptions often come from unreliable sources, political agendas, and fear, not from facts.